What's happening, guys? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. On today's show, we're going to be talking all of our 2022 Dynasty breakups, Dynasty sweethearts, and it is so good to be reunited with my Dynasty sweetheart. But you know him as my co host. He is the man of the hour and the man with the power. Gerald Sinclair, how the hell have you been?
Finally, Jerry has come back to the Dynasty Warzone. Fun fact about me, I have the same birthday as The Rock, so I don't know if anyone can match that as far as cool birthdays are concerned. May 2nd, babies out there. Love you.
Is
It's
that
good to be
right?
back, my friend. 2 weeks is too damn long. I don't like it. I hated it. I'm glad to be back. Dallas did an awesome job. Part of
Bruce
me
before
wasn't going to
that?
watch it because I was like, you know what? That bastard is doing a show without me. Not really. I wasn't. I listened. It was great. You guys did awesome. But it's good to be back, man. Love it.
I will throw many shout outs to our boy Dallas Hyder and to Bruce Matson of the DLF for jumping on. Bruce talked rookies with me 2 weeks ago. We talked rookie wide receivers. Last week, we talked a little bit of everything. We recapped the Super Bowl. We talked about some rookies that Dallas is digging and some that he is not going into this rookie class. He recently dropped a show covering the big five rookies that he's big on. I think I'm getting that backwards. It's five rookies from the Power Five that he's high on going into the rookie class. Is that better?
Yeah, I
Feels
mean,
better.
English is a tough language. I don't blame you.
It's not even my first language. My first language is caveman.
I
I
was not
mean,
sure where you were going with that.
well, Jerry, we like to have a little fun here on the
We do.
Dynasty Warzone. And if you want to have a little fun, you should head over to YouTube. You can see me, you can see Jerry. The studio back together again.
I
We
know,
are
looking pretty.
carpet. So longer. Well, luckily it's spring, so it's no longer cold as balls
No,
in my
no, no,
basement.
no more cold piggies for you while you do the podcast.
Dude, I'm not a big slipper guy, but I've had to.
Okay.
The last 2 months, I've had to wear slippers because concrete floors in the wintertime are cold.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, no, no. Right.
So
We got. Is that Tony Soprano back there too?
that is. So if you look immediately over my left shoulder, that is Tony Soprano. Over my right shoulder is Bo Jackson.
Of course, because he knows.
Along the floor, I have not hung them up in the studio yet. Original 1970s and 80s Star Wars posters.
Okay.
A gentleman that I work with gave those to me. He saw the new posters on social media in my basement. He's like, dude, I'm going to take care of you. And because my son, big Star Wars fan, what the hell, we're going to hang them up. So they're probably worth more on the app because, like I said, these are legit like 70s. These things are like 40 some odd years old, Jerry.
Good God!
Are you a
So they're
Star
not
Wars
like
fan?
reprints of the old ones. These are the actual old ones.
These are in old school metal frames, and I
Wow.
mean, I'm not like
So you're
Rick.
bougie.
I'm not Rick from Pawn Stars. I don't have like a movie poster expert come down here and say, hey, authenticate these for me. It's just some posters. I really wouldn't want to sell them anyway. A coworker did something nice for me based on the theme of sports and movies in my basement.
Well, that is a swell guy. You know what my coworkers do for me? Not a damn thing.
No, well, maybe it's more about you than your coworkers, Jim.
That's probably fair.
All right. Well, let's get into this, man. We're going to get into good people, bad tweets. Again, not seeing the craziness out there on these Twitter streets that we did, but I did have a topic that I wanted to touch because it is near and dear to Jerry and I's heart. So, believe it or not, you maybe wouldn't realize this from listening to or looking at us, but Jerry and I are a couple of philanthropic, charitable guys. Would you say that's fair, Jerry?
I think that's fair. Also, great word.
Philanthropic, yeah. We're charitable cats. I mean, we believe in using this microphone and using what we do to bring awareness, whatever your charity of choice is. I tend to do ones around military veterans, kids, animals. Those are things that speak to me. Jerry, what about you?
I'm a sucker for animals.
It's
I
hard
can't.
not to be. You have a
No.
dog? I have a dog.
Oh yeah, I have a dog. My wife's trying to get into vet school right now, so I'm a sucker for every animal, especially squirrels. They're the cutest, but that's a separate podcast.
Squirrels would have never in a million years.
Bro, they got little hands, and like how do you not think they're adorable? I don't know, but
I mean that is my
101
wife.
of rodent for sure, without question.
The 101 of rodent for sure. The Humane Society is my wife and I's largest charitable donation of the year. So we're definitely in the same vein. But recently saw this on Twitter that there was a gent, I will not name names because I don't want to be accusatory. Another good word for you.
Yeah.
Because all of the facts have not come out. But allegedly this gent was running charity dynasty leagues, like over 150 of them.
Oh.
And if you participated, I don't know what the box is. I was not part of this, but I was reading all this online. You would win some sort of sports memorabilia, and the rest of the money would be used for charity.
Makes sense.
Okay, everything from the Hayden Hurst Foundation to Lyme disease and other things in between.
Yeah.
Well, this came to light that allegedly, when pressed for receipts and pictures, this gentleman could not present any of these. And we're talking 5, if not 6 figures, Jerry.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, not good. Not a good look at all. So Jerry and I, we are never going to be accusatory because I don't have all the facts. We're a couple of slapdicks talking dynasty fantasy football.
Absolutely.
But part of this segment is designed to help you guys, not contribute or be drugged down a road of these things. So as charity leagues kick off, as startup season is upon us, Jerry, one thing that we're going to do a better job of is advising people that if someone gets you into a charity league, first of all, I advocate that. Jerry and I play in the Scott Fish Bowl, 4 or 5 years in a row?
Yeah.
We have donated every year, both individually and as a podcast unit to the Scott Fish Bowl. Correct. Something Toys for Tots, again, kids, a charity we firmly believe in. But if anyone is asking you to join a charity league, by all means, you should consider it.
Yeah.
But the question, Jerry, we always ask a lot of questions. The first question is where am I sending the money to? If someone's like, well, you can just send it directly to my personal account, whether that's Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, that feels like a red flag right off the bat, Jerry.
Sure does.
Sure does. Just send it to me and I'll take care of it. I have never once had the great, legendary, luminary, giant. You know what giant stands for, Jerry?
What does it stand for?
Global icon and national treasure. I've never had the giant Scott Fish ask me to send him a direct PayPal for being in the Scott Fish Bowl. He's like, just make a charitable donation somewhere. And, that's cool. Send me a screenshot or whatever. Cool. I've done that many years in a row. Again, I've done Toys for Tots. I've done veterans. There's one, I think Toys for Tots may even be tied back to the Marines. I don't know. But I've never been asked by anybody running a charity league to send it directly to them. So I'm going to tell you that's a big red flag.
Yep.
So
the screenshot is tried and true. If people can, send it to whatever you deem, whether it's, humans or animals or scholarships or, hospitals, whatever you got to do. The screenshot just, okay, you did it. We're good. Give me a timestamp. And we did. Like I do the Warrior Bowl. He's from England. So unfortunately for me, when I donate, I'm actually donating like twice as much because the English pound is worth more than the American dollar. But I do it to a child's hospital. So, it's worth it. It's worth it in the end. But, I don't send it to his PayPal or his whatever, his Cash App or whatever British people have, their Cheerio apps or whatever they got. He sends me the link to the hospital and I donate there, send a screenshot, bada bing, bada boom, I'm in the Warrior Bowl. So yes, be aware that unfortunately in this world, some human beings are not the best of human beings, even if you're trying to be a good human being.
And there you go. We do not in any way want to dissuade you from donating your time, your money, your resources to helping those that can need it. we just want to make sure that you're being very careful about where it goes. Just to throw that out there, because I love being part of a community with Dynasty and fantasy football that does so much rad shit, that does so much good
there's
stuff.
Something about, Scott Fish or John Bosch or Sal, when they have like 12 carts at a Target and it's just full, and I know I'm part of that.
Absolutely.
It feels good.
Maybe,
I send that link to my Facebook that doesn't have any fantasy football stuff on it, and I know that I'm a part of that, and it feels good.
It does, and it does. So we in no way want to dissuade you from donating, whether it's the FC Eliminators that John Bosch runs. Again, the Scott Fish Bowl Podathon, Scott Fish. There's so many good people. Don't let the turds of the world dissuade you from doing good. We're just asking you to make sure that you vet some of these. If it's not, because you don't have to vet Scott Fish. No. You don't have to vet John Bosch or Sal Lito.
Nope.
But if it feels like it's a little sketchy, don't be afraid to ask questions. And maybe it's not. It's not. But sometimes it could be. So we want to make sure that you're doing the best with your Dynasty dollar, especially if you're donating it to a worthy cause. Now, it's not as worthy as charity, but there's another cause that keeps the lights on, Jerry. It's patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone.
I thought you were going to go with the Cheerio app, but okay. All right, we can talk Patreon.
When you say Cheerio, am I wrong for thinking cereal?
No, I think that's fair. It was like the most I could have said Crumpets app. I should have said Crumpets app. I missed an opportunity there.
If you said Tea and Crumpets app, it'd have been like fine.
And no disrespect to my English and or British Isles people. I am literally a historian of England, so I mean no venom when I say that.
Yeah, I mean we love the Brits. You're not quite Australians, but you're awesome. I mean,
you guys both have great accents, though. Accents are.
Now think about it. Think about it. If you could pick someone, you're a single gent, out on the town, any decent sized city in America, and you can hang out with even a decent looking British guy. You kidding me? Talk about closing the deal, Australian guy. I mean,
absolutely.
That accent's money. Speaking of money. British, I would love to hang out with, like, if I'm 28, single on the town, I'm sorry, Jerry, you're Michigan 5-8 mile, gotta go. Hanging out with a British dude. But Dynasty Warzone's Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. Now, if you're watching this live on YouTube on Sunday, there will be more to come. But if you're listening to this on Wednesday's podcast, as of 8 a.m. Wednesday morning, Jerry, we just pulled the trigger on Patron 13. You're in there. I'm in there.
Oh, yeah. Excited. My first startup of the off season, baby.
And so on Sunday, we still have to work with our admin, Neil Gray, great guy. And we got to do the Kentucky Derby style startup. So we put everybody's name in there. And then you pick your draft spot, Superflex, tight end premium. And Jerry, this is my first startup of the year.
Yep, mine too. Super excited. So giddy about it.
So if you think you're good enough to come play Dynasty Fantasy Football with Jerry and or myself, come get some. It's Dynasty Warzone Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. The group chat is awesome. We've welcomed in so many new patrons lately. And Jerry, there's room for plenty more. This is lucky number 13. We'll be doing patron 14, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
When I told everybody in the group chat, hey, we're going to start after the Super Bowl. Like, literally, I woke up the Monday after the Super Bowl, and I had like 13 messages like, when are we going to start? I was like, ladies and gents, I said we were going to start after the Super Bowl, not like literally like, they kneeled down the clock to 000, and then the clock goes live on the startups. Like, but that's the kind of people that are in patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone, Jerry. Just the best.
I think I was one of those people that added you too. I don't want to,
I wasn't going to blame you. I wasn't going to kick you under the bus, but that's what's going on, man. And I'll tell you what else is going on. We missed Valentine's Day. It's a rite of passage. Normally, this is our all breakup week, but you know what? We got to get to rookie content, so we got to get going. So we're both going to give you 2 breakups, and we're both going to give you 2 sweethearts. We're going to merge that into one episode to piggyback off of what Dallas covered last week. So you want to break up or you want to go sweethearts first? You want to mix it up?
I think we'll go sweethearts first. You want me to go first? All right.
The floor is yours.
I'm going to go with one that should be relatively obvious after we did our rankings podcast. I'm going to go with Joe Mixon. So he's my RB4 overall, which is a little spicy for some. Don't get me wrong, but he's on a very young team. He's under contract. He's not going anywhere. The window to win is that same length that his contract is, so he is very likely to stay there and get that role. The offense should be extremely productive. And the thing about Joe Mixon, career high in rushing yards, career high in touchdowns, career high in receiving yards. My man is trending upwards with an offense where defenses don't have to pay attention to him as much because Jamar Chase has a ding-dong that rubs against his knee, and so does T. Higgins. And Joe Burrow has shown the ability to get it wherever he needs to go. So Joe Mixon is there while everybody else has the two big dogs circled, and he's just beep, boop, 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 doing what he has to. We saw it in the Super Bowl. He was pretty damn productive. Not a bad throw either, but so I like Joe Mixon. He is, he's getting up there in age-ish, sort of. I mean, for at least football standards, he's much younger than me at 25, but so we're starting to see where a normal person in that age group would start to decline. I think he is really on an ascendancy. I don't think we're going to see the decline from Joe Mixon for a few more years. And that's something because I don't like to talk about Dynasty in a few years because values can change so quickly. But I feel like Joe Mixon is slept on more than he should be. And not to say that people hate Joe Mixon, don't get me wrong. But I don't think RB4 is that spicy for Mixon. Now, I know you do a little bit, and I hope I've sold you a little bit more on him. But Randy, what are your thoughts on my first sweetheart?
I do like Joe Mixon. I traded for him from you.
Yeah.
Of all people. I won't tell the people what I gave you in return because that's just hurtful. But I do like Joe Mixon. And what I liked is if you look over his last 10 games versus his first 7 of the 2021 season, it's that uptick in the receiving game. More receiving work than you'd really seen. You saw it in the Super Bowl. One of my favorite Vegas type prop guys. His name's AJ. What is his last name? I don't remember. He's with RJ Bell's crew. AJ Hoffman. A really good guy. One of his favorite bets for the Super Bowl was Joe Mixon over 3.5 receptions. And Mixon had it he had the 4 by the third quarter. That was a no sweat bet. And there was a time where if someone had told me that, hey, Joe Mixon's prop bet for receptions is 3.5, I'd have been like, don't only hit the under, smash it with a hammer and, get it. But this one made all the sense in the world. And he laid out a great, compelling case. My only thing is sustainability. Joe Mixon, again, he is a little older. He is paid, but he does play in a high profile offense. He's going to be playing in games where they're going to have to score points. And because they have T. Higgins and because they have Jamar Chase and even Tyler Boyd and to some, degree, CJ Uzama, there's always that chance for a guy to get tackled at the 1 yard line, a guy to get that pass interference in the end zone on a deep shot. Well, where do they line up that ball? Right at the 1 yard line. Well, turn around and hand it to Mixon. And as long as the coach, who I do not have a lot of faith in, I don't care that he went to a Super Bowl. I still think Zach Taylor's somewhat
because he gave it to Samaje Perine the last 2 touches of the Super Bowl when the game is on the line. What in the absolute hell are you doing?
You're not going to convince me that the guy's a good coach when he gives it to Samaje fucking Perine in the Super Bowl when you have Joe Mixon. What are you doing? What are you doing? But
yes, see, that was the difference. I mean, not to go down a rabbit hole. When they needed the play, they gave Cooper Kupp the ball on that end around. When they needed the play, the Cincinnati needed the play, they gave Samaje Perine. That's outrageous. So I did a Joe Mixon trade. I don't know if you're going to like it, but let's see. So I traded away Najee Harris for Joe Mixon in 107. Hate it? Is it okay?
Say that again for me.
I traded away Najee, elite young stud running back Najee Harris.
I love Najee Harris.
I know. and I got back Joe Mixon in the 107.
Joe Mixon. Okay. Super flex?
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, you're going to get something you like there. So at least from a 2022, even 2023 standpoint, let's just say God came down from the mountain and he said, both these guys are going to play 15 games a season over the next 2 years. The difference in points per game may be 2, but what you're going to get with that mid first round pick is going to more than offset.
Okay. All right. I like it. See, I mean, I like it, but I sort of thought you would give me a little backfire. But who's your sweetheart? Who do we got cooking up in Randy's heart?
Well, a guy that I wanted to be off of, but the more research I did, it's Dak Prescott.
Okay.
And I've got some data to back. I mean, he kind of feels like the only top 5 dynasty QB that has like no buzz. And so here's some of the reasons why. So Dallas ran the second most offensive plays in 2021 with 1,153. Of that, 680 were pass plays. That's a 59% passing ratio. It's one of the better top 5 in the league.
Yeah.
And Dallas had 40 passing touchdowns as an offense. There was that one guy, not Kellen Moore. He's the offensive coordinator. Garrett, whatever, the guy who played against Minnesota. Because Dak missed that game. Still a good year. Kellen Moore is coming back as the OC.
Yep.
This team had the 6th most attempts inside the red zone, aka the money zone. And here's the thing where I think things are going to change. So Dallas was the 7th best scoring defense in 2021.
Yep.
But they were the 28th best scoring defense, and that means points allowed in 2020. So 7th best, 28th best, which is it? Was it because Trayvon Diggs and Micah Parsons had a great year? Dan Quinn's defense? I'm really going to say it's somewhere in the middle. That's why they do Olympic style scoring. They take your best score, your worst score, and average the rest. I'm going to say Dallas is going to be somewhere around the middle of the pack defense, which is going to mean more offense. There was a lot of games where Dallas pulled the starters late in games, or it could have even been better. So for me, I'm not concerned about them potentially losing Gallup and Schultz. Jerry, do you think that Jerry Jones is going to let Dallas have a less than exciting offense?
Absolutely not.
So even though they don't have a lot of cap space, I'm a little concerned. I'm more concerned about losing Schultz than Gallup, but I do know that Blake Jarwin would be fine if he got pressed into action. Yep. I think they'll use their 2nd round pick on a wide receiver. They could even bring in a lower tier wide receiver in free agency. So Dak is my number 1 target if I were looking to offload Kyler Murray. I'm off Kyler Murray. That's something I've covered.
You took a very specific pivot there.
Well, I did that because I'm not going to go too deep into it. I've already covered it on the Patreon podcast. Kyler's someone I'm moving off of. He's not one of my 2 breakups though. So, but Dak is one of mine. Are you good with that? I think Dak is still pretty good. He's still top 5 for me.
I'm always team Dak. I'm definitely lower than I was, but I was probably a little too high last year. Even though he had a couple like 40-point games.
He was QB 6 or 7 on the season, and he missed a game. He was easily top 5 if he plays all 17, and the one he missed I think was due to COVID, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was the calf.
The losing in the first round definitely sort of hurt his dynasty value, because if he wins a game or 2 in the playoffs, you think that Joe Burrow hype is a lot? I mean, that Dak one would have been good too. So what do you want me to do? You want me to do a breakup, or you want me to do? We'll just keep
Jerry, you're the co-host of the show. You do whatever you want.
All right. You know what? Let's do a breakup, because I know you are down with this one, because you have been wanting to break up with this man for, I don't know, at least a year and a half, maybe a little more. Nick Chubb. He's going to be 27 next year. He's always going to have Kareem Hunt there. His contract, he's really got this year for the most part. So in 2022, he's a $5 million cap hit, $1 million dead cap, but that's relatively cheap. 2023, $14.8 million cap hit, no dead cap. Are they really going to pay Nick Chubb $14 million when they could save it? And I really don't think that team's going to be built for the Super Bowl. I just don't see it happening. And going after that season, he's going to be 28, not a great pass catcher. He gets banged up. He misses games. Nick Chubb's good. Nick Chubb is a good talent. I'm not going to argue against that. He's just sort of a one-trick pony. He can score touchdowns, which is great, and it's always going to boost his fantasy numbers. But as far as a structural running back asset on a winning team, the window for him to remain there is too short for me to mess with. And his cost is higher than I'm willing to do in that range. So for that reason and that reason alone, me and Nick Chubb, I might text him. I might text him and split it. I might give him a note with a box with a yes and a box with a no, and he's gonna have to check it off and say that we're done. But I'm good on that.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I am never been the biggest Nick Chubb guy.
No.
I like Nick Chubb, but I just can't pay what I think his market value is. I would much rather have in that same range Alvin Kamara. I think is a guy that would be in that range. We actually talked about him on this week's Patreon podcast with you.
Yep.
Yeah, I know he's got I don't want to say legal issues, but for them to come arrest the man right at the Pro Bowl, what was the meme going around Twitter? It was that the only person to hit anybody at the Pro Bowl was your man there. Yeah, so I don't mind Nick Chubb. What do you think he's going for right now? If you wanted to move him, is he still going to cost you multiple firsts?
Either that or an earlier first. You think that's wrong?
I don't.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, I'm not even close to that. Well, I like Nick Chubb. Don't get me wrong. Like, if I was in a startup and he fell a little bit, I could see myself having him. But there's not a situation where I would trade for Nick Chubb because I think he is valued too highly for what I am going to get in the future.
Well, I don't disagree. So in 2021, Nick Chubb missed 3 games. So he played 14 out of the 17 possible games. And just by quick looking over this, he had 6 games with 11 or less points at the running back position. Now, he finished as the RB13 in PPR. That's great. But you know who else missed 2 games and, finished as the RB12 and I could get for a fraction of the cost? Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones.
Got to be younger too, right?
I would think so. Antonio Gibson. I mean, don't get me wrong. The highs are always going to be high.
Yeah.
With Chubb, but unless you have him tethered to a really good, steady RB1, Nick Chubb's a great RB2 that can win you a week because Nick Chubb's going to hang the 24 or the 30 piece or the 22 or the 27 that he hung in the semifinals in week 15, but then he could go out and leave you a stinker like he did with 6 points in week 17 championship week. So for me, I kind of agree with what you're going to give up to get him. I would rather go again with other guys in that range.
And like if you're going to sell Nick Chubb and you ask for 2 firsts, I don't think that's absurd. Like I think there are definitely people that would pay that. And even if it's going to be like a 2022 first and a random 2023 and you don't know where it's going to be, I think that's what 100% for me too. But I also don't think, like, from that other person's perspective, that that they're going to think that's outrageous because Nick Chubb is one of those sexy guys, right? Like he's
a name brand commodity.
Exactly. Devy people have loved him. He had good draft capital. He's
great combine metrics.
He's been great. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, he had damn near 1,400 yards in 14 games, which is unbelievable. I'm paying for not what he has done, but what he can potentially do. And I don't foresee him being a 29-year-old, 30-year-old running back, potentially on a new team. I would almost guarantee he's going to be on a new team at some point. 30 years old, 30-year-old running back, potentially on a new team, potentially on a new team at some point. 30 years old, 30-year-old running back, potentially on a new team at some point. 30 years old, 30-year-old running back, potentially on a new team at some point. 30 years old, 30-year-old running back, potentially on a new team at some point. 30 years old, 30-year-old running back, potentially on a new team at some point. 30 years old, 30-year-old running back, potentially on a new team at some point. 30 years old, 30-year-old running back, potentially on a new team at some point. 30 years old, 30-year-old running back, potentially on a new team at some point. 30 years old, 30-year-old running back, potentially on a new team at some point. 30 years old, 30-year-old running back, potentially on a new team at some point. 30 years old, 30-year-old running and sustaining value. So if that's the case, I'll take the 2 firsts, and that'll be that.
For me, my guy's going to blow you away because he's one of my favorite players in the NFL, and it's Mr. George Kittle.
Okay.
Now, I love George Kittle. I have forever. I love the fact that in Week 13 he had 9 catches for 181 yards and 2 tutties on 12 targets, Jerry. And then he followed that up with 13 catches for 151 yards and a touchdown. But then, in the Week 16 and Week 17, 2 for 21, 1 for 29. The offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel, now in Miami with Tua. I get a new quarterback. We saw Debo kind of emerge as the feature piece in this offense. George Kittle, more than happy to earn his $85 million contract, blocking as well as catching passing touchdowns. I don't give a shit. I need you. If I'm paying George Kittle prices in a tight end startup like we're starting up, again, if you're listening to this today, we just started up Patreon 13, but you're paying top dollar, top 3 at the position prices for a guy that could literally give you 1 for 29. We've not seen any time under center from Trey Lance. Could be great. Could be terrible. We've seen we've seen that. How does Kyle Shanahan want to win football games? He wants to run the ball with Elijah Mitchell or some other running back. By the way, a little side note on Elijah Mitchell. In 5 seasons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no running back has led this team in rushing 2 years in a row. Forget 3. Let's not even get silly. Not even 2 years in a row. So maybe it's George Kittle's year next year. And then you forget the injuries. This guy plays a game. It's pretty violent. And he misses a lot of time. So, Jerry, you and I have played in a lot of leagues together. You know what a George Kittle fan I am. But do any of my concerns about George and his playing style and the new QB and what this offense looks like in 2022 and going forward, and don't forget he's like 28, going to be 29?
I would love to sit here on this podcast and call you a dipshit. I would love it with everything that is in me. I can't do that. I'm with you. Because if you've had George Kittle, there are people that are driving in the car or, whatever they're doing right now, and they're listening to us. Bless your sweethearts for that, just for the record. But we love you. Yeah, we do. You have had George Kittle on your teams, and you have needed him in a moment on a Sunday night, and you got George Kittle, and you're going against Crumb Bum in the flex, and George Kittle comes out there and, has a stinker on you, because it happens. It happens a lot more than you wish it would happen, and he's banged up. Maybe you got George Kittle, but you can't play him because you got to start some other bum because he gets banged up a lot. Tight end, getting up there in age. Now, granted, they have longer careers, but you can get a king's ransom for George Kittle. At no point is anybody going to undersell George Kittle because he is a premium at a premium position. And he's talked about. He's a commodity just like Nick Chubb is. People love to talk about George Kittle. So his value is going to stay, and he is easily a person that gets you multiple firsts. And at the rate in which talent is coming into the NFL, Randy, I've heard you say those words an umpteen amount of times in the last 3 months. Multiple firsts for somebody that's an aging tight end is just it's a strategy that more often than not is going to be beneficial to you, especially with the emergence of somebody like Deebo Samuel, who's just, he proved me wrong. Like, I liked him. I didn't think he was going to do anything with things that he's done. But like you said with Trey Lance might be the new hotness. And he could also fall flat on his face. And if he falls flat on his face, plus you got an old aging tight end, and all of a sudden those multiple firsts, they could wither away on you. So I like it, Randy. I like it a lot. But we're gonna switch back. We're gonna go sweethearts. Because I wanna I want to put my arm around you and I want to walk you to the fire and I want to see who my next sweetheart is. And you know who it is, Randy? It's a man that we have not seen in an NFL uniform yet. And that's Travis Etienne of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I and you, big James Robinson people. Now, for the same reason that I am really not aboard the Cam Akers train, I cannot be a hypocrite and then be aboard the James Robinson train. Achilles running back scares the absolute hell out of me. I don't necessarily think he's done. And Cam Akers came back in a heartbeat and he shows he can play. Like I think he's lost a step, but that's yet to fully be seen. But Travis Etienne is an explosive man, and an ACL is not an Achilles. It is not even in the same ballpark.
Well, Etienne's the foot. You have Etienne and Dobbins confused. I mean, they all went out at the same time. We lost all three of those beautiful, beautiful gents. But yeah, Etienne was the foot injury, the Liz Frank.
Yep. Explosive beyond belief. Has the repertoire and has the what's the word I'm looking for? Not repertoire. He has the with triple.
Yeah, the sexiness.
What? Look at this guy hitting me with French. He had a problem with English to start, and now we're hitting full French. I am just all aboard Travis Etienne, and
I don't hate it.
He's really been forgotten to an extent. Not to say like I would absolutely believe that this time last year. Now, granted, I don't think the injury is going to affect him this year. I don't in that aspect. Last year, man was sky high with James Robinson fully healthy. It was like Dynasty did not give a single F word about that, and they were all aboard Travis Etienne. Out of sight, out of mind. Now it's like he's being cast off, and he's going to be a guy that you can get in the 4th or the 5th round in a starting
I have heard in best ball drafts that he's going around the 5-6 turn.
That just pisses me off.
Well, you know what? It's good though. It means that there's not a lot of value there. I think the time to get into this Travis Etienne buying seasons now. And I'm not a big worship at the altar of the head coach, but I do like Doug Peterson from a running back perspective. I tweeted this out last week. Miles Sanders caught 50 balls on 63 targets as a rookie, with Doug Peterson as the head coach in 2020 with a combination of Wentz and Jalen Hurts as the QB. He caught 28 on 52 targets in 12 games. So that's one running back getting an average of about 4 targets and, 2.5, 3 catches a game. And then you add into the fact that this team could be behind a lot. I mean, I don't want to besmirch the good name of DeAndre Swift.
Of course.
But is there really a lot of difference between DeAndre Swift and Travis Etienne and their situation? Good running backs, teams that are going to be behind, good pass catchers, shown a propensity, here's another word for you, a propensity to catch the ball out of the backfield. I mean, how can the arrow not be pointing straight up on Travis Etienne?
And what did we say last year? About 2021, probably late July. I could foresee a situation where the Lions are down and they have to target DeAndre Swift 4 to 5 times in the last couple of drives. Fast forward to today, could I foresee that same situation with Travis Etienne? Mother-effing-lutely, I could.
And you add in a head coach and play caller that has a track record of using running backs that way. And as of today, in February, before free agency and before the draft, they've not added a lot of other targets to absorb those targets in the passing game. So,
and even if they do, they'll be new to the system.
Well, I can't say it is that I blame you. All right, we'll go out with your last breakup in mind. My second sweetheart is my man Jaylen Waddle, coming off of a monster rookie season. And Jerry, I believe that the NFL is a league of trends. Do you believe that?
Oh, absolutely.
And there was a lot of people. Now, we were Jaylen Waddle guys. We weren't like Jaylen Waddle's a top 5, draft pick, but we were both firmly believed that Jaylen Waddle, given where the Dolphins took him and the draft capital used on him and the talent that he showed in college. Now, he was the 2 of the Alabama wide receivers who got hurt their final year at Alabama, which due to that lack of targets that he would have absorbed, allowed a lot more of that usage to go to Devonta Smith. The man went on to win a Heisman Trophy. No shade at him. But, Jerry, you know what's so in vogue right now with wide receivers in the NFL?
More French. What's up?
YAC. No, it's not YAC. That's an acronym. That stands for yards after catch. And it just, let me read you the top 10 wide receivers in yards after the catch. Are you ready?
Yep, fire away.
Cooper Kupp. He pretty good season.
Yep, pretty good.
Deebo Samuel.
Also pretty good.
Jamar Chase.
Yep.
Devonta Adams.
Yeah, we're cooking.
Chris Godwin.
Oh, my God.
Deontay Johnson.
Okay, keep it going. Hold on.
This one gets weird, but McCole Hardman. But then we,
Really?
Yeah, we do. But then we go right back to Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
Even little Hunter Renfrow.
Well, that's what was he? RB11, RB13, or wide receiver 11 or 13 or something?
Wide receiver, like he was like right around 12. He was 12. He was like wide receiver, like he was out wide receiver 1 in a 12-team league.
Okay,
and then finally number 10, Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
You know what Jaylen Waddle does? What all these guys not named, because even Hunter Renfrow got a lot of volume. McCole Hardman didn't. All these guys get a lot of volume. And what do they do with the ball after they catch it? That's what Jaylen Waddle does. He plays this brand of football. It's a successful brand of football. Now, by the way, number 2 on this list, Deebo Samuel. His new head coach and play caller was in San Francisco last year. Now, I hope for Jaylen Waddle's sake they don't line this man up in the backfield like a running back. But I love the fact that everything for Waddle's pointing up. He kept his quarterback. He got a head coach that's offensive-minded that will probably try to use him and get him the ball in space. He had a ton of targets. He had a great rookie season as a wide receiver. I don't see the arrow going anywhere but up. And even if they add somebody, are they going to add someone who does the same thing as him? So no. I really look for a lot of yak monsters all over the NFL. And because like you and I talked about before we hit the record button, the days of the big body clasher on the outside X wide receiver, man, that's as dead as the dodo.
Yeah.
You just don't see, and if you do see it, you don't see a lot of it. And if you do see it, they tend to get hurt. So for me, give me those yak monsters where the biggest fear that I have from an injury standpoint is like a pulled muscle. It's like pulling a hammy as they're running away from a guy. Maybe an ACL, that non-contact injury. But Jerry, I know you're a bit of a Waddle guy as well.
My wide receiver 6 in Dynasty overall, which it might be a little bit much for some.
Now that's spicy. That's a spicy meatball, Gerald.
See, I don't think it is. Like I
have him as mine.
You have him in. Okay, that's fair. I like the prospect of the man. But all right, Randall, let's get a little depressive. We're gonna have to break up with somebody.
Just be honest.
I'm gonna be honest, and I do have a type that I like to break up with, and it's sort of along the lines of your George Kittle. He's an aging person. An unknown situation forthcoming. And he may be elite, Randall, but I'm not paying for what you've done. I'm paying for what you will do. And it is the wide receiver 2 this year, the wide receiver 1 last year, the wide receiver 3 2 years before that, Devonta Adams. He's going to be 30 years old. I have absolutely no idea where he is going to be. I have absolutely no idea who his quarterback is going to be. I don't know what he's going to go for. And Randy, when I have to pay up for somebody who is aging and has a completely unknown situation that could be entirely different from the situation that he has been in, that has been conducive to him being a elite dynasty wide receiver, I have to part ways. And I have to do it before the value starts to decline. And right now, I can get a ton for Devonta Adams. Like, I'm not going to be able to trade Devonta Adams to get Justin Jefferson straight up, but I'm going to get multiple first. I'm going to get a good young wide receiver in the first. I'm going to get some spicy meatballs, as Randy would say, spicy meatballs. Randy, thoughts on Devonta Adams? Am I doing it too soon, or do you think now is the time?
It all comes down to how you word it. You know, you want to be selective. You don't want to take the buckshot approach, just come out blasting. You want to be strategic. You're looking for that Green Bay Packer fan in your league. You're looking for, maybe you got Devonta Adams from someone who has like seller's regret. You're looking at someone who finished 9th in your league last year, and Devonta Adams is the piece that's going to get you over the top. I will tell you that in a league last year that I won, humble brag, this was in 2020. I won the league in 2020. I traded for Devonta Adams. When the league was over, I took Deontay Johnson and the 107 in a superflex. I quote unquote lost that trade, but not really. If you go back and look at the season Deontay Johnson had versus the season Devonta Adams had, yeah, I did, but I also had the 107 in a superflex. So the difference in those points per game, yeah, you may have to quote unquote lose that trade, but you can still win. You know, I've lost a lot of trades on paper, but I don't mind, because it always seems like it winds up leading to winning some championships. So no, man, because if Aaron Rodgers retires, and I still believe there's a greater than 0 chance A-Rod retires or winds up on a different team, then what? Is the next QB going to force feed him targets? Do you really want a Devonta Adams getting force fed targets by Jordan Love? I mean, I don't want to go into the unknown, not knowing with a 30-year-old wide receiver when this might be your last chance at a reasonable cash out. So for me, I have no problem moving Devonta Adams.
I love to hear it. Makes it when I get to hear.
I mean, I wanted to hit you with a "you big dummy," but you know what? I'm not going to hit you with a "you big dummy." You might, but my final breakup is Antonio Gibson.
Oh, okay, a little spicy.
You know, people you'll hear people throw around terms like big pharma, big media. You know, big dynasty wants you to believe Antonio Gibson's a buy, and I'm telling you, I don't buy it. I think that's bullshit. I think it's shenanigans. So it came out over the weekend on Roto World. Yeah, that's right. NBC Sports Edge or whatever the blue hell it is does not exist in this dojo.
No.
It's Roto World. It's mama name it Roto World. I'm going to call it Roto World. But it came out over the weekend that the Washington football team is going to try to re-sign J.D. McKissick, and they could look to bring another running back in. And you know what? I believe them.
I do too.
This is not coach speak.
No.
You know, the coach speak is, oh, hey, we would love to use Antonio Gibson as a Christian McCaffrey light, you know, like Ron Rivera and Scott Turner did. That's coach speak.
Yeah.
You know, saying that, hey, we want to re-sign a guy that we use quite a bit and maybe bring in another running back. That's the kind of stuff that deflates him. I just, you know, I saw some things. You know, he picked up an additional 88 rush attempts in only 4 more starts, had his first 1,000-yard rushing season. You know, 7 touchdowns, which is down from 11, but, you know, you don't get 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys every game. You know, just is rushing long of the year, you know, 27 yards. And, you know, this is a fast guy. So the targets did go up a little bit. He did have 52 targets and he had 42 catches. So that was about the same.
The thing that sucked about those, though, was those were all like the last month of the season, if I remember right. I feel like
it was with McKissick out.
Yeah, like because like in the beginning, like the first 8 weeks of the year, it felt like it was 2 catches for 9 yards, and like I was told he was a wide receiver in college, and I was told he was going to be an elite pass catcher, and I'm getting 2 catches, so that was pissing me off. So I hear you. He's frustrating. He's not sexy.
There is a disconnect. Like I said, I'm looking at his game logs right now. Week 2, 2 targets, 2 targets, 2 targets, 2 targets, 3 targets, 2 targets, 3 targets, 2 targets. He misses a game and then he comes back and he has 7, 6, 2, and 7. So of those, 52 targets, 20 of them come in 3 games. J.D. McKissic wasn't in those games, and who did we just talk about re-signing? And there's going to be a lot of steam this offseason about this guy's a top, 8, 9, 10 running back at a startup. And I don't think I can pull the trigger where I like Antonio Gibson. I don't like how they're using him, but you know what? Ron Rivera and Scott Turner aren't going anywhere. And then what if they start using Curtis Samuel, because he can never stay healthy? But if Curtis Samuel could stay healthy, could they start putting him in some of that Deebo Samuel role? Top of McKissic and on top of another? We all see and want to believe in what he can do. I just don't think we're ever going to see it just due to the situation and the coaching staff. And I don't think they're going to let us see it.
I think the thing about Antonio Gibson is he was a very polarizing person when he came out. Because it was like you either believed that his transition from wide receiver to running back was going to work, or you thought it was going to fail miserably, and he did okay. Like he did good enough for the people that thought he was going to be good to create more hype around it. And then he came out this year, and it was like, he did okay. He was fine. But he never fulfilled that sexiness quota that the Dynasty community was thriving for. And
still
the problem is cost is still built into that too, though.
Yeah, I mean, he was still an RB1 on the season there in that,
10 touchdowns. So, I mean, that's good.
RB10 on the season. It's solid. But again, where he's going to go in startups when we do our startup, starting now, and, he's going to go way higher than the Aaron Joneses, the Nick Chubbs, the Josh Jacobs, all those guys that finished in that same range as him. And I would just rather get that kind of a running back because more than likely I've already got a better running back.
True.
And as my RB2, and in some cases, for some people, he could be your RB1 in a startup. And I don't feel good about that, Jerry.
No, I would feel absolutely horrible about that, actually.
Because you know what's going to happen if they sign someone in free agency like McKissic, because they want him back, that's going to be the gut punch. Yep. And then they draft a day 2 running back or even a day 3 running back in, especially a pass catcher. So they re-signed one pass catcher. That's the gut punch. They draft a second pass catcher. That's the kick to the testes. And then it's you just feel like you've really screwed up, and you can't move him because everybody around the Dynasty world is going to be, oh, there goes Antonio Gibson. So I'm looking to get out now. I'm not rooting against him, but I just got to break up with him.
Here's the thing. So with somebody like him, you either think he's going to take the next step and you're going to, and you're going to hold on to him and he's going to be the guy that wins you the championships, right? Like he's going to take that leap, or he's not.
Or he's the best. You've seen the best of him this year at RB10.
And in that case, then you're splitting. And I would love to disagree with you, but for one, I've never really been an Antonio Gibson guy. I actually might be if his value dips, but I don't really think it's gonna, because people love him and he scored 10 touchdowns and he was RB10. And
I will say this: if you do like him and you don't agree, that's fine. You don't have to agree with everything that we say.
Yeah.
But if you don't agree, wait until free agency in the draft, because you're going to be able to pay less of a price, I believe, than you will today. Yeah. I think you'll get a significant discount, Jerry.
I also just don't love that offense, and I don't really want to rely on them because
who's the quarterback?
Yeah, like it's one thing when you have Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Jared Goff isn't awesome, but I don't think Antonio Gibson is DeAndre Swift either. So I just feel like it's a different situation. I don't know. I'm with you. I think I had 1 or 2 teams with Antonio Gibson.
He didn't kill you. I just don't think
no.
I think the expectations are just a little high.
The problem is he's like Josh Jacobs, but Josh Jacobs is cheaper. So why wouldn't I just get Josh Jacobs? And I think there's a real chance I could get Josh Jacobs and the 110 for Antonio Gibson. And I would do that in a mother effing nanosecond.
You could send Antonio Gibson in any third for Josh Jacobs in a first. And I think on a points per game basis, you didn't hurt your team, and you picked up extra draft capital. But Jerry, you said a word there I want to accentuate on the way out.
Okay.
You said discount. And I can get you a discount over at Hate Brand Goods. You just throw in promo code Memphis. They had a purple line out jumpsuit, Jerry. It's a sweatsuit. Now, Jerry, I could see you wearing a pair of purple joggers and a purple sweatshirt. You would look awesome in that. You could just totally pull the
drip off the chain. Just
you would look like a dripped out Grimace.
I would look like Snoop Dogg at the Super Bowl. Just
no, he was cripped
man
out
on the planet. Yeah, he was cripped out.
He was big time. How he even did the crip walk. But anyway, head over to Hate Brand Goods. That's THEHVIII.com. Check out the coffee mug, the world famous, seen on Joe Rogan, Kick Today in the Dick, and so much more. I love the shorts. I did a little athletic competition myself. My partner and I, of course, we were wearing Hate Brand Good shorts. That is the HVIII.com. Use promo code Memphis at checkout to save a couple of bucks and support the old podcast here, Jerry. But man, it felt good to hang out with you. A total hour with the man of the hour and the man with the power.
That was a fun one. I mean, Sweethearts and Breakups is always a fun one though, because it's sort of it's the end. It's the end, but it's also the beginning of what rookie season is to us.
And I don't want to make any promises, but I would like to, for the foreseeable future, as long as we can line this thing up on Sundays, I would like to trade weekly show spots with our boy Dallas. I would like to do mock draft Mondays to where we record them live on YouTube on Sunday night for a Monday podcast, because it just has like that, again, that je ne sais quoi. We have that spiciness. It sounds so right. Mock draft Monday. Does mock draft Wednesday have that sauce to it?
It really doesn't.
But we can't afford to not have a Wednesday show, so we got to make sure that Dallas. Because here's the thing: if we do mock draft Monday and we think Monday's off the book, and Dallas gets hit by a rabid dinosaur, I got to jump on the podcast. I got to cut one for Tuesday night for a Wednesday podcast, because we're coming up on 4 years in a row never missing a Wednesday.
God.
What is that, 208 weeks
in
June?
That is some
208 Wednesdays in a row.
That is some warrior shit right there.
We are loyal. I'm going to say loyal. But, Jerry, I appreciate these good people. Thank you for supporting Hate Brand Goods. Thank you for supporting patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. Be sure to give all of our shows a listen. Give us a thumbs up, man. Leave us a rating and a review over on iTunes, Stitcher. Maybe you're like, hey, Memphis, I don't have it. Have you seen gas prices? I can't afford to be a patron. I can't afford to rock sweet Hate Brand Goods, even when I use promo code Memphis. I understand. I've been there. I've had those points in my life. It costs you $0. It is free 99 to go to the YouTube channel, interact with us on a video, thumbs up something, subscribe. All these things go a long way toward helping us do what we want to do. So there's pay ways, there's free ways, there's a lot of ways to help me and my man Jerry. But on behalf of that man, his name is Gerald Sinclair. You can find him on Twitter at JerrySinDWZ. You can follow me on Twitter at DWZMemphis. Jerry, what are we trying to do?
Randy, here at the Dynasty WarZone, we're just trying to make the world a better place for fantasy football.
You heard the man of the hour. We'll see you next week with some more rookie content. Looking forward to rocking the rookie stuff. Have a great week, guys. Talk soon. Bye-bye.